Meanwhile, let's bring in retired FBI supervisory agent James Gagliano. He's been covering the case for us on the ground, and he joins us live right outside of Nancy's home in Tucson. You heard Griff talk about the fact that the people who were detained yesterday, all of them were let go. What is the strategy, in your view, in your experience, which is deep, in questioning a suspect in this type of case and then letting them go? Talk to me about that.
Sure. So, Rachel, we saw this happen across the last couple of days. We had the one stop and the execution of the search warrant down in Rio Rico, which is about 60 miles south of our position here. A suspect was released after being car stopped, and then a search was conducted at the home. The home was eventually turned back over to the family. You know, people read into that. The same with 2 nights ago. We had some police activity, and 3 people were briefly detained, 1 from a vehicle. We know that a vehicle was impounded and is being gone over with a fine-tooth comb right now for any potential, evidence that can be harvested from that. This is normal. In complex investigations, these types of things happen. And I want to put this in perspective. We have 30,000 active leads right now, 30,000. I want to say in the 9/11 case, you know, the case of the World Trade Center attacks and the Pentagon attacks, we had maybe 500,000, and in the New York office alone, maybe a couple of 100,000. So put that in perspective. 30,000 is a large amount of leads for one case like this. When these folks are stopped, there's a number of things that we can do. Now, again, if someone is in custody, right, a custodial interview requires the reading of Miranda rights. You have to tell them you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, we'll appoint one for you. And at any point in time, the suspect says they want an attorney, you have to stop the interview. The investigative detentions are different. You can talk to them because it is not considered quote-unquote custodial. And how does law enforcement do this? Well, there's been a big sea change in how we do interviews. In the old days, now I want you to think about NYPD Blue and Detective Sipowicz, you know, throwing the coffee cup down and yelling at the suspect. Yeah. Those are aggressive and adversarial interviews. Today, it's a lot different. We use open-ended questions, things like, tell me about this, explain this, describe this, and then we watch for signs, how the suspects or the person of interest, verbal and nonverbal cues give us more information. But it's a much more, I wouldn't say cozy, but it's a much friendlier relationship when you're trying to elicit information from somebody, as the techniques have changed over the years.
Is that more effective?
You know, it's different. You know, Rachel, you're probably thinking good cop, bad cop, right? We've all watched Law and Order and seen how that works. And you bring the nice, easy cop in, and then the angry cop comes in, you go back and forth, and your hope is that the suspect decides to confide in the good cop because he doesn't want to deal with the bad cop. You know, those are kind of outdated. You know, we use open-ended questions, affirmations, summarizations. It's much more psychologically based today, and I think it's a little bit more effective than what we used to do in the old days.
Yeah, Detective Sipowicz, how about that? Maybe he could help out here. Let me change just a little bit here, James, because what happened in the searching of the home overnight, Friday and Saturday, was based off a warrant. And I'm curious now, what type of warrant was that? Was it federal or state? Does that matter? And what would that warrant be based off of?
Sure. So, Charlie, you know, the way that this works is there's 2 different types of warrants that could have been executed. An arrest warrant, which means that an affiant goes to a judge or a magistrate and says, we believe this person, there's enough probable cause to indicate they were involved in this crime. Or in this instance, a search warrant. Same process. You go to the magistrate, they're on duty 24 hours, so you can get them at 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. And you say, I believe that there is evidence of a crime at this location. Now, initially, I believe that the Pima County Sheriff's Office was handling everything. We saw their Bearcats roll out, their armored vehicles, and we saw a lot of their Sheriff's Department vehicles there. We were hearing last night that this might possibly have been a federal warrant. What's the difference? Well, Pima County covers about 9,000 square miles out here. It's about a population of 2 million people. The Department of Justice has a pretty decent footprint here. And what do I mean? Across the country, there's probably 7,000 assistant United States attorneys. Here in Arizona, in the state of Arizona, there's 180 of them. They have a big job. They handle 22 different Indian reservations and tribes, and they have a big job. But I'm hearing, this is just through sources on the ground, that this might have been a federal warrant. So instead of coming out of the county attorney's office, it would have come out of DOJ. Now, the Department of Justice does have an office out here in Tucson.
And I'm hearing the same thing from sources. That's why I asked you the question, James, because also it would suggest that if it were a federal warrant, very rarely will they execute a federal warrant and have insubstantial results. And we don't yet know what the DNA, if any, forensic results came from that search.
Yeah, and it is a process, and it takes time. And you know, people always ask me, well, how soon can you get the results back? And then you have to answer and say, it depends. Generally speaking, we're talking about a 48-hour period. Now, what has complicated this? And again, I'm trying to do this judiciously, but what has complicated this is that most of the evidence, if not all of the evidence to date, has gone to that contracted private lab down in Florida. So the evidence is collected here. It's in the custody and the possession. You have an evidence chain that you have to keep track of, and then it goes to Florida and it's processed down there. Now, what complicates that is by the time the FBI does get that evidence and that DNA, it will have been degraded or diluted. You have to use part of the sample in order to conduct those tests. And the FBI has the CODIS system. The CODIS system is the combined DNA index system where familial DNA and the DNA that is taken off of a felon or certain misdemeanors or sex offenders is all put in a database, and then we have our computer folks go in and make the connections and draw the comparisons. So it's going to take a little bit of time here.
So you mentioned a minute ago something that I've kind of wondered a lot about, which is the Indian reservations. We've talked about the fact that Tucson is 70 miles from Mexico. Did the kidnapper flee to Mexico? But we haven't talked so much about the Indian reservations. That can add a real complication for both federal and local authorities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to your point, Charlie, the Department of Justice folks that are stationed in Arizona, I think they've got offices in Tucson, Flagstaff, Yuma, obviously Phoenix, but they have one of the heaviest dockets in the country, and a big reason for that is you have 22 tribes out here. They have their own police out there on those reservations, and then they're integrated and they work with the FBI. So no usual police or sheriff's office controls those territories. So it's a very dicey situation where you have to work with a number of different agencies, multi-jurisdictional agencies, trying to make that fit. It just definitely complicates things, but it is a busy docket out here for the Department of Justice.
That's a great point, James. Thank you very much.
Thanks you so much. We'll be checking back in with you all morning.
Your question is really important.
Thank you, James.
James.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.